talking about, hey, you over summer you go to camp and you go to do this and you go to do this. How do you keep that fire lit even when you come back, right? So Ryder, I asked him, I said, so what's another topic for the podcast? And he said, what about somebody who's been raised in the church? How do you stay strong? What are some great things about growing up and going and being a part of a church that you guys have noticed recently?
You make so many different relationships, and I think since we've moved so much, even if you move from different church families, it still feels like a family. Like no matter who's there, you're just all so close.
Okay, good.
Well, I also think that since you start at such a young age, you grow up with the church. So it's kind of just in your foundation, and it's not as hard to I feel bring it in because your parents have always brought you there, and yeah.
Some things that I'm thankful for. I have a lot of friends that are just recently, honestly, starting a real relationship with God. A lot of them have been raised in church, but now I'm seeing them. One of them's getting baptized 2 weeks from now, so I'll be there. But a lot of things they didn't realize what they had, and I got to experience the love of Jesus when I was so young, and so I've had it my whole life, and it's stopped me from, I guess, being part of the world and growing up part of the world. So it was, I guess, easier to actually be a Christian my whole life than have to just do a 180 like a bunch of my other friends. They've been living the lifestyle, and I was raised in the lifestyle.
And knowing it. Yeah. Man.
I think that it just helps me to be able to have knowledge from growing up in the back of my mind, so that way whenever I'm in a situation, even if I don't say something out loud, I know in my heart what I want for me. You know?
Right. So what I'm hearing overall though is this idea of there are advantages, right? Whether it's, Savannah said, going to Bible classes or VBS as growing up and gaining some of that knowledge that maybe somebody new doesn't have, right? Or it doesn't matter where we're at. You being my daughter, kind of traveling as a preacher's daughter, moving from congregation to congregation. It doesn't matter where we're at, whether in California, Wyoming, or Kentucky, we have a church family. So there's that advantage. Maybe growing up and growing with the church. So it's not so much of a stark, I've lived this way and all of a sudden I got to completely change. It's just more of a gradual growth. And the idea of the concept of I've kind of the same as that of I've grown up into it and I have some advantages because of that, right? But when you think about the statistics aren't good, right? And we've talked about the statistics a little bit. 1 in 3, they've said, of young kids who grow up in the church, 1 in 3 leave the church when they leave high school. And it proposes an interesting, difficult question. I think it's a valid question that Ryder asked. Ryder, I want you to talk a little bit about why maybe you've asked the question. And remember, guys, we're just being honest and real. And hopefully somebody out there can listen, hear this, and go, I'm not alone. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to tell my story. I want you guys to tell your stories of maybe struggles or why maybe that question was proposed.
Well, so basically, with this church youth group growing, it's a very positive thing to see people see exactly what we've gone through our entire life, knowing Christ and trying to be like him and having this nice family. But I wanted to discuss this just because I want to keep that fire in me, seeing it from other people that are just getting brought into it.
Yeah.
It's hard, and I had to think about where did it go for me? Because it's almost been calloused. Because it's just normal to me now because I've grown up in it.
So what struggles? What are the struggles maybe that you notice of one growing up in the church? We talked about the advantages, but
I feel sometimes it's just an everyday thing, and so you don't really think about how it majorly changes your life because you've always just lived like that, and there's not a drastic change like some other people. And yeah,
I think it becomes routine.
Yeah.
I think the drastic change, honestly, some people having that like life changing moment is like, oh wait, this is actually what it takes. And we've always just been, oh wait, we come to church on Sunday and we might think that's enough, but it's really not. We need like daily time in the Word, and we can't be like callous to just going to like church Sunday and thinking that's enough.
Yeah. Tell me something you've done all your life that's not church related that you just do. And maybe tell me if it's been something that you've had to teach somebody else how to do. Does that make sense what I'm asking? Like, for example, I always grew up around cars. So working on cars has always just been something I can do. You know, ever since I was little, I was out with my dad holding a flashlight and then handing him wrenches and then finally doing it myself. So to me, it's just something I can do, right? And even like trying to teach somebody else or tell somebody else what I'm doing, sometimes it's difficult. Have you guys had those things in your life where you've just done them and now I don't know how I do it? I just kind of do it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So what are some of those things? And I want to take us down that journey and tie that into something we know and apply it to something like growing up in the church, and how do we keep somebody who's been in the church strong, and what are some things we can do?
One of my things, I've always played baseball, and so I've been swinging. I've worked on my swing like so many different times. It's had changes throughout the year, and I'll see like freshmen now that are coming up or middle schoolers, and I'll see something that this never worked for me, and now that I changed it, I'm more successful with it changed, and so I'll like give them that hint, or I'll tell them to change something in their swing, and then the next 5 balls might be to the back of the cage.
Yeah.
Something like to help them. Just because I've gone through trial and error with swings, and I've seen what actually works.
Okay, good.
Well, kind of agreeing with what Lucas said, like my whole family, we all grew up playing sports, and we've always played sports. But whenever like this year happened, and it just got crazy, and I quit football, like that being in my life for so many years, and then it just like not there anymore. It was really hard because I had to fill my time with something else. So I was picking up a job, I was picking up golf, and it's just like the routine once that changes, it's a big change.
How was it Friday night?
Rough.
So like, yeah, because that would be like, it's still hard for me. I haven't coached in a long time, but it's still hard for me to go, man, I'm not coaching. So I get that.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about those things, so now let's wrap our heads around that idea of you've done this all of your life, and you have done it. Really, you started it because that's who your parents were, right? So you've done this, and have you transitioned, or have you made that transition from your parents' faith to your own faith? And what did that transition look like? What did it start with? What made it click if you've made that transition?
Well, I think growing up, get up, we gotta go to church. And it's like just been a routine, something that we always did. But I think once I started saying I need to go to church or I want to go to church, it's not just something that I do because my parents do it. And making those relationships with people because I want to go to church. Like I made relationships with people in the youth group because I want to go to church. Like that, it just makes a bigger impact.
Good.
I think that like mainly last summer, because I feel like I was a lot more mature, but also like all the camps that I went on and trips that I went on, and
What's so funny?
Wyatt's looking at me.
We have a whole bunch of kids behind the camera too, so they're all just staring at us. We're like, ah.
well, also in the retreat that we went on, to the Ark, and like there was one diva that you did, like me and Chloe were talking about this, and like just imagine being that person looking up at the Ark and being like, man, I really wish I was on the Ark right now, and you're just like, while the water's just like pouring out of the sky, and it's just like starts flooding, and you know that's like that's it, and you're just gonna die and go to hell.
Yeah.
And it's just like you really have to change your life around then.
So becoming serious about your faith, and
Yeah.
and moments in your guys' journeys that you've gone, wow, like I have to be serious about this. Whether it's seeing the Ark, or I've had talks with people who have watched a loved one pass away or die, and it's like, wow, life's not forever. when a high school is impacted by a kid who dies, there's questions that come out where you go, am I ready? Is this going to be something that I'm serious enough about? Right. But like everybody, whether they were raised in the church or not raised in the church, Satan is real, right? And Satan wants to distract us. Satan wants to put things in our life that we see as appealing, and those things may take us away. Maybe it's a boy or a girl that you guys are dating, or maybe it's friends that you have, or so there comes the question, right? The question that you proposed was, how do we stay strong spiritually as one who grew up in the church? And when you grow up in the church, you know right from wrong, right? You've been taught that. But maybe you haven't been tested. Like maybe it's been easy. Maybe we've taken it for granted. I know, I mean, I was raised in the church as well, and I know I took it for granted. I know when I got into college and then things changed because the things that I took for granted that were always there weren't always there. I moved away and didn't have the church family. And I'm looking at you guys as part of this youth group, staples in this youth group and in your lives as spiritual leaders. You're a senior, you're what, junior, so the rest of you are juniors. So within 2 years, right? Within 2 years, there's a good chance that you guys, some of you, will be moving away from something you've always known.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the 1 and 3 come in. Of, okay, am I going to be strong enough in my faith to when I move away from everything I've known? Family, the preacher I grew up with, the youth minister we had, our friends, the routine, the pew we always sit on, our team class that we've all, when you move away from those things, now all of a sudden your faith has to maintain strength and go, I'm going to be based, my spiritual strength is going to be based on God's word, not anything external. It's not going to be based on a building or a room or a preacher or a teacher or family even, but in our own lives, right? So here's the next question I want you guys to think about. Because you grew up going to church, are there times maybe you don't try as hard to grow stronger spiritually? And I know this is a little bit of a delicate question because we may not want to admit that, but I want us to be honest and upfront because I would probably be willing to know the answer to that, and probably those listening will probably also know the answer to that. But because you grew up going to church, you've all had very faithful parents who have brought you to church and make sure you're here and you've been immersed in the church. Because you grew up going to church, are there times you don't try as hard to grow stronger spiritually?
I mean, I would say yes, just because, just like I said earlier, you've been going to church since you were little, and that's all you remember. So it's just like, well, church will always be here. I can mess up a couple times and come back and ask for grace later.
Yeah, good.
I agree with that. Like sometimes I feel like I know what I'm doing is wrong, but I'm like, if I just ask for forgiveness, then it'll be fine.
Yeah, well, I'll handle it later. I'll
Yeah.
get serious about it later.
Yeah.
Right. Why do we do that? Why do we not try to grow as hard? And the reason I say that is because think about this. You all had friends who you've brought in, right? And you teach them the word of God and they're like on fire. And they're like eating it up, eating it up, eating it up. It's almost like they were starving and now there's a big plate full of food in front of them and they're like, they can't get enough of it, right? Meanwhile, us who grew up in the church are kind of sitting back going, yeah, I was at Bible class, but I don't really know what he was talking about. And I don't remember the last time I studied the Bible and really got, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm alone on that, but I think I have that in my life growing up going, well, I punched my ticket.
Yeah.
I'm there. So how do we change that? How do we move in from not resting on what we think we know and getting better and getting stronger?
I think it's just on yourself.
Okay.
You just got to take accountability and I mean, if you want to be a Christian and you want to go to heaven and you want to live this life, it's solely on you, but also who you surround yourself with.
Good.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's your peers. Like my dad's favorite, one of his favorite sayings is, if you hang out with 4 smokers, you'll be the 5th. Or like if you hang out,
Yeah.
show me your
Yeah.
5 closest friends, that's who you'll be.
Yeah.
So who are like your peers? Are they going to pressure you to do things that are not biblical, or are they going to pressure you to have a Bible study with them? Like I found a group of friends this Sunday night. We're having a Bible study, and they're my friends that I want to hang out with. Like I was hanging out with them last night. Those are people who I want to spend my time with instead of people who will stay out drinking, instead
Yeah.
of people playing basketball or something.
Good.
That's who I think your peers are one of the biggest things, or like an accountability partner. Someone that if you struggle with something, you can find someone that has the same problem and y'all can hold each other accountable.
Yeah. And I think that was a comment we made on the last podcast too, of keeping the fire lit. Is, we've made a comment in the youth group is we do life together. We want to spend time together. We want to have lunch together and go out to dinner on Wednesday night together. We want to have Bible class together. We want to go to retreats together, and we want to see each other at school together. I'm gonna boast a little bit on you guys, those of you who go out to McCracken, but I don't know if you guys saw the picture, but there was a picture floating around Facebook that somebody took seeing you guys praying on before school started, and the parent had no clue who you all were, had no clue, wasn't affiliated with Broadway at all, but the comment was, "I'm thankful that my kid gets to go to a school that's prayed over every morning." And you guys are making that impact. But you guys want to be together. You guys make the choice to go meet together, and you guys make the choice to go sit together. So I think that kind of overflows from our last podcast of the same idea, right? Of having the right people around you. What about girls?
I think like growing up in the church, we always learn the Bible stories about Noah, Moses, all that stuff. But once you really learn how to like study the Bible and take it in at a new like application for your life, it's totally different. Like someone that's totally changing their life to be for Christ can see that light and see like all the stuff they've never seen their whole life. But someone that has always been in the church but learning how to find new stuff in the Bible to learn about is just the same.
Yeah.
I think it's just like on yourself. Like I just feel like you just have to want it for yourself. Like no one else can want it for you, and you have to put in the effort to try to want it for yourself.
So how do we do that? How do we tell somebody that? And you guys can, those of you behind the camera, I want you guys to chime in on this because that's an important concept that you said, Savannah. It is personal, right? It's personal for you and you and me and you and you and everybody. It's a personal relationship. I can't base my strength and my faith based on my parents or my preacher or the leadership or my best friend. I have to be personal about it. And I think that's kind of what all of you are alluding to of you have to take the time to study your Bible. You have to make the decision to do it for you. You have to hang out with the right people. You have to make the right decisions, right? But how do we do that? What would you tell somebody to make it personal, to make it theirs?
I feel like you just have to show them in like the way that you live your life, and like just so they can see that like you're happy, you have good friends, you still have fun whenever you're hanging out with your friends, even though you're not doing like all that other stuff that everyone else is doing, and it's just like you're living life.
Yeah.
Without all that.
And I think so many people try to substitute their happiness for drinking, smoking, all that stuff. When you can hang out with the right people, do the right stuff, and still be happy, if not more happy than they're trying to be.
Good. We got to show them our life, and our life has to look different, right? But that goes back to the original thing. If I'm struggling staying strong, how do I show somebody my life that looks different, right? Because I'm still trying to figure it out. So what else would you tell somebody to gain or to tell them how to stay stronger? Or what was the question? Oh, I forgot the question.
How you make it personal.
Yeah, how do you make it personal?
I think we can, like, even though we might not want to point out what we're struggling with, I think being able to show people what we struggle with and how we struggle is also good because we can relate to more people and show, oh, I struggle with this. If you struggle with something like it or even something that's totally different than that, it still shows that struggle is real and everyone will go through it.
Okay, so being honest and upfront and not
Yeah.
being hypocritical about it. Like,
Yeah.
I struggle too. Like, we can be honest with each other.
Yeah,
Okay.
no judgment.
But how do we tell somebody else to make it personal? What do you guys think?
Well, I think you gotta be honest and upfront with them. You gotta be personal to them to make it personal for themselves. And I think that's a kind of difficult question because each person is different.
Okay.
But yeah, I just think you gotta show your care for them and your love for them and your love for God. And I mean, down to it, it's their decisions.
Good.
I would say just how can we be an example is ways of like even things you wouldn't even think of. Like you can be an example through what you wear. Like our Broadway shirts are a great one, and like I have other shirts that I bought specifically for that reason. And just because I may not act, I'm not 100%. I can't be perfect every time. But maybe someone sees me walking in the hallway wearing my shirt that I like to wear and asks me about Jesus. Maybe someone sees that one shirt and like, oh wait, maybe I should go up to him, and then or wait, maybe I should like look it up or something, and that sends them down a rabbit hole, and that's like they find Jesus through that. Like something super simple, super small actions. They don't have to like spectate your whole life
Yeah.
to be able to see. Like, could they see that you are a Christian by the way you walk? Like, you shouldn't have to. They shouldn't have to be like your closest friend to be able to tell that.
In 1 Corinthians chapter 3, Paul talks about just this, about the idea that our responsibility is to plant. And I think maybe sometimes we take on too much responsibility, thinking we have to plant, we have to water, and we have to cause the growth. But we know that our responsibility is just to plant. And that could be, I'm going to wear a shirt. And that shirt is going to hopefully point somebody. You know, like we have our retreat shirts, you know, brought safely through water. How many times you wear that hoodie and somebody looks at it and goes, well, what does that mean? Or what's the verse on the front? Or how do I look that up? Or I get, every time I wear this shirt, I'll carry your Matt shirt, somebody says something about it. I mean, every time. And it's because it's a concept that we go, okay, maybe that's teaching somebody how to personally have a relationship with God. Those guys carried the guy into a room with Christ. And maybe that's how we show somebody how to have a personal relationship with God. We get them in a room with him. And that room may look like a Bible class on a Sunday morning, or that room may look like a Devo on a Sunday night, or that room may look like a bunch of friends meeting and having a Bible study. And that room may look like, hey, in the locker room when everybody else is using profanity and doing this word, he's not. And you kind of show that person kindness and not look like everybody else. So there's all kinds of ways, right? There's all kinds of ways. So that personal relationship that we want to show somebody because it's important for us, right? Good. So what have you guys done to try to stay strong? What are things you've adapted in your life to try to stay strong and not fall away? And I want to read this verse for you in Hebrews chapter 3, because in that verse, there is also a concept, and this is a concept that's popular in the religious world, but there is a concept in the religious world that once saved, what? Always saved. And that's alluding to the idea that what? You can't ever fall away. That's a false doctrine. In fact, if that was true, why would I have purpose for all of Paul's epistles? Why would I have purpose for all these writings that teach me how to live my life? In fact, the Hebrews writer says in verse 12 of Hebrews chapter 3, take care, brothers, lest there be in any of you an evil, unbelieving heart, leading you to fall away from the living God. But encourage one another every day as long as it's called today, for that none of you may be hardened by the deceitfulness of sin. For we have come to share in Christ, if indeed we hold to our original confidence firm to the end. Right? So there is a need. Yeah.
I have a question. So I've talked to this about someone at school. They bring up the question, well, if they fell away, they weren't ever actually saved. So what do you say to them?
Sure.
I think I saw something though. I mean, in verse 12, it does say leading you to fall away.
Yeah.
So I mean, it kind of says you can fall away, but that's also
Absolutely.
like that's like their backup to what they say after we try to like tell them that it's not always true. They're like, well, if they fall away, they were never actually saved. So
Well, that's not the case, because we have other examples of, Galatians chapter 1, Paul talks to him and says, if anybody brings to you a gospel contrary to the one I preached to you, let him be accursed. Because he opens that statement with I'm astonished that you're turning away from that gospel.
Right.
So here's people who heard the truth. They gave their life to Christ, but what happens? Somebody came in and fed them a lie. Told them, well, you don't really need to live this way. You don't have to live that way. You can live this way. And what does it cause them to do? Take care, brothers, lest any of you have an evil, unbelieving heart leading you to fall away from God. So there is proof that you can be saved. You know, you've repented, you've been baptized, you've trying to live your life towards God, but Satan has come in, deceived you. False doctrine has come in and changed you. And now you're leaving the truth of the gospel and you're walking according to how you want to walk. So there is a fear of it, right? And if we are not able as Christians to remain and to stay strong, there is a chance we could fall away.
Yeah.
And that's scary. And that's the reality. Because if you, and I don't remember exactly where it's at, but Hebrews chapter 5, he warns them about this idea of, listen, you are become dull of hearing. Like you're not growing in your faith the way you should be growing, and you're still drinking milk and you should be eating meat, right? Because what's happened, and I think this is a good example for us. Okay, you are raised in the church. And when it's your parents' faith, you're still drinking the milk. And there has to come a time in your life where you go, it's time for me to start eating the solid food, the meat of the gospel, the idea that I need to be feeding myself and nurturing myself and nourishing myself with more than just the elementary stuff. But if we don't move to that, and I think maybe that is why so many people who grew up in the church fall away, because they never move on to the solid food. They're still drinking the milk, right? Because let's face it, all of us, what if we were still drinking milk? We never started eating solid food. We wouldn't be nourished. We would be weak and wouldn't be able to be strong. And so think about that idea. So what have you guys done to try to stay strong in that? And like I said, those of you off camera can chime in too if you'd like. But what have you done to stay strong?
I think building those relationships where everyone can hold each other accountable. Like, it goes back to the pure thing that Lucas said. If you surround yourself with people that are striving to have the same goal as you, go to church with you, study the Bible with you, it's gonna be harder for Satan to get to you. Like, if you surround yourself with people that
Surround your people with people.
surround yourself with people that are striving to go to heaven, have the same goals as you, it's gonna be way harder for Satan to get to you.
Yeah.
I think that's the main goal.
Well, I think that's why this youth group is so good, because we do live life together. And I mean, like we were talking about earlier, I think the not falling away part in church is the hardest part of it all. Because I mean, you've committed yourself to Christ, and then I mean, the rest of your life you got to be faithful and you got to stay good. And I think that's why some people fall away, because that's the hardest part.
What about the comments where people say, well, I don't need to go to church? Isn't that basically essentially saying, well, I don't need to surround myself with the right people?
Yeah.
I mean, there's country songs about it, right? I mean, there's like, what's the song that the girl sings about my church?
No clue what you're talking about.
Yeah, we'll have to find that. We'll put that. No, but but the idea that I could find God, or I could find church, or I can have my God time anywhere. You're right. You can have it out on the lake, and you can have it there. You can have it there. But when I'm out by myself, I don't have my peers. I don't have the people who are going to strengthen me.
Yeah, it's not as strong.
Yeah, think about what happened in Acts chapter 2. They come right from all the different regions for Pentecost. And Peter preaches this sermon, and they're like, what must we do to be saved? They're baptized, they're added to the body, and what do? Do they individually go back to living their whole lives in seclusion? No, the text says, and they were together. They fellowshiped together. They were in each other's homes day by day. They began doing life together. And it wasn't good enough to go, well, I'm just going to be by myself. So I think that's a good point. In order to stay strong, what I'm hearing is you want to be with your peers. You want to be with the right people. What else? What else have you guys done to try to stay strong?
Daily reading or daily daily podcasts, daily YouTube videos,
Okay.
specifically about something. So every day, a goal of mine is to read a chapter, watch a video or something specific that I want to learn about. So if you can find something every day, like one of my favorite influencers is Bryce Crawford, and what he does when he wakes up is a proverb a day. So he's reading wisdom, one chapter of wisdom a day, basically. He's almost got the whole book memorized or something like that.
Yeah.
Like now he just has that in the back of his mind. So whenever he's going through something, then Proverbs 23 says, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like he knows what he needs. And reading is less for it's not less for God, but it's more for us too. That I mean, we grow strong. Like we eat the meat instead of drink the milk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I mean, if we just come to church, we're still drinking milk. But if we read our Bible 7 days out of the week, even though we come to church, we're eating meat and we're developing on our own.
So we're making opportunities to get in the Word. We're filling our minds with good stuff, with God stuff. You
And I
know,
think something that I've done, I've not been consistent with it lately, but like even just little memory verses, like something that might seem silly, but just something that you can always go back to, or it's always in the back of your head, just playing through, because there's going to be those tough times throughout the day, and just knowing like that God's always there, or you can think about that Bible verse, it's just reassuring.
yeah. What? Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say something like simple like that. I also really like to wake up every morning and pray for strength.
Yeah.
Like it's something as simple as that, and I mean it's not gonna just save you from everything, but I mean it's in the back of your mind. Like I prayed for strength, and then whenever something does come up and you do stay strong, I mean then you're like, wow, that
Yeah.
really helped.
Yeah. Giving the credit where the credit's due.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Psalm 119, you know, it's the longest chapter in the Bible, and it talks all about this. You okay over there?
Yeah.
You good? Going this is
Psalm
struggling.
119 verse 9.
Yeah. What does it
The
say?
young man keep his way pure.
By guarding his heart according to your statutes.
Yeah, according to His Word, and I think that goes back to what either. That's what. To my path. Okay. But it's either memorizing it. I'm gonna put it in my brain. It's either I'm gonna think about it. I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna pray about it. It's just constantly putting those thoughts into our mind, right? What else have you guys done that you've utilized to try to stay strong?
I think music. Like on the way to school, like we listen to like church songs like every single day.
Yeah.
And then like leaving school, we also do that. And then
And like
it's
anytime
like,
we're in the car.
anytime, like we go anywhere, it's just like Christian songs. So.
That's a big thing.
And then it's like we're just jamming out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then it made me like instead of listening to like other music, like whenever I'm walking through the hallway with my AirPod in, like I got like Living Hope in my ear. I'm like,
Yeah.
Jamming on the street, like, what is she listening to? Cardi B?
Yeah.
No, Living Hope.
I like the music because music has a big influence on like what you hear and what you like put into your brain has
Yeah.
a big influence.
Yeah,
and then
that's
you're just stuck in your head, and then you're just like singing it all day. It's
Yeah.
just like a continuous cycle of Jesus in your head. Yeah.
You're like, open,
Yeah.
open.
What
Yeah.
you're talking about, you go a lot of places, and there's a lot of stuff, lustful ideas you can have about saying certain things, but if in your head you're listening to a Jesus song, then it's kind of
Yeah.
hard to get
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah. Right focus. Right
Yeah,
focus.
If you're like what Chloe said, like if it's stuck in your head and like sometimes you like start to sing it out loud, you know, and then like other people hear you, like because one of our friends like was hearing us like what we were listening to, and then it also got stuck in her head.
And
It's
it's
not
not like
like-
I can't stop singing this. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like not as strongly Christian as us, but it just like got stuck in her head, so she was just thinking about it.
Yeah.
So now you're influencing not only others to be stronger, but you are actively striving to be stronger. And I think there's a big part about it. Like, it doesn't have to be weird.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be like, just be yourself. I think that's a big thing. And I think your culture or your generation is way better at it than mine in just being yourself. Like, you can be unapologetically Christian, and that's cool. And it's okay to be different. And I want to be different.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be stronger in my faith because I don't want to be one of the three that leave. I don't want you guys to be one of the three that you're like, I'm going to school and now you fall away. And I don't want your friends to be that way.
Well, and I think, like you said earlier about us praying in the mornings, that gives me something to look forward to. And it also, like, it helps me, but it also gives people on the outside looking in to see, oh, why are they all doing that? It makes them think about it. And, like, it's grown a lot since we started doing it. And it just makes a big impact on everyone's life. Like, the other day, it just gives us a better start.
Yeah. And then with that, though, there has to be a level of discipline.
Yeah.
And here's what I mean by that. And Cohen and I were kind of talking about this, and I've struggled with this. It has to get to the point that we're constantly doing it for the right thing. We're keeping the main thing, right? Because it's very easy to start looking the part to be seen by somebody.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to say, I'm glad the group is growing that we pray with because we want to be seen. But really, none of that matters if God didn't see it.
Yeah.
And we're not doing it for God. Like, wear your shirt. But wear your shirt, number one, to remind you to be who you need to be, right? And, wear the bracelets. I don't know if any of you have on. Yeah, there's just the reminders, right? Reminding you to be that person. Get up and read your Bible so it's benefiting your spiritual growth, not so you can tell somebody you did it. Get up and pray so it can maintain your spiritual growth. So you know what I mean? So there's a fine line of discipline that you have to walk and say, listen, I'm going to be unapologetically Christian because I want to have, a personal relationship with God. And if we have that personal relationship with God, things will overflow from our actions that will also be contagious for others to have that personal relationship to God. The prayer groups will grow. The church will grow. The youth groups will grow. Your friend groups of Bible studies will grow. And that will all be a stem from you striving to be a strong Christian.
Yeah.
So I think there are some challenges. And I think it's important to recognize a lot of people will look at you guys and say, well, you were raised in the church, so you don't have it as hard. Well, baloney.
Satan goes after everyone.
Yeah, Satan goes after everyone, absolutely. And there are some disadvantages you guys have.
It's harder.
Yeah,
It's harder.
sometimes it's harder. Why do you think it's sometimes harder, Judah?
Because, like you guys said, we're just back here while the starving person's devouring the food. We can just be like, here, I'm full. I don't need any food right now. There will be some later. But then, as soon as we move away, well, there's nothing that's holding us. If you grow up in the church, you don't realize, well, it's harder to realize that you need that church.
Yeah.
You need your church. You need your Broadway. You need your youth group. You need your family. And then as soon as you move away and that's not there, you're like, oh wait, I never grew roots.
Yeah, that's good. That's a great point. Great point. So it has some advantages for sure, but it also has disadvantages. And it's important for us to be aware that because we were raised in a church, these are some disadvantages we have. These are some things we got to overcome. Satan is going to go after everybody, but let's not rest. Let's not become lazy. And I think that's our biggest charge of saying, hey, let's not be lazy. Let's constantly strive to grow stronger. I have a really hard time when I see older people who are just satisfied with who they are and the strength of their spirituality. Like, never be satisfied. Like, always strive to be stronger. Always strive to grow in your knowledge of Him, even if that means starting and studying every morning, listening to the right music, wearing the right clothes, being with the right people, constantly striving to know what He wants from us is going to be very important in our lives. And it's not going to end now. It's not going to end when high school is over. It's not going to end when college is over. It's not going to end when you get married. It's not going to end when you have your first kids. It's going to constantly be something that you're striving to do to become stronger. Any other comments or things or ideas that you guys want to throw into the mix, or anything from you guys?
Yeah. I don't think we made it seem like this, but whenever we're saying hang out with the right people, that doesn't mean we're not allowed to go hang out with certain people. Like,
Sure.
Jesus sat with sinners.
Yeah.
Like the people He surrounded Himself were sinners. Like, we just can't fold to their pressure.
Yeah, we can't let them be
Right.
influencing us. We got to be influencing them.
Right,
The
right. So I
healthy
don't,
don't need a physician.
The what?
The healthy don't need a physician. It's
Yeah.
the sick.
Absolutely. And yeah, I'm glad you make that comment because we don't want it to be perceived as, well, we're a very closed off group that we're only going to hang out with our people.
right.
Because if that's the case, what's the rest of the world? You know, if we're,
Keepers of the aquarium.
yeah, we got to be fishers of men, not keepers of the aquarium.
House bar.
Boom. Okay.
What was that last Sunday you said that?
I don't remember. We have a responsibility. Each of us have a responsibility to make sure that we are being an example for somebody else. We are showing them Christ by how we are.
Mhm.
But sometimes I think we focus so much on showing other people Christ that we forget to look in the mirror and say, "Hey, I need to grow spiritually. I need to be stronger
Yeah.
in my faith." And if we cannot maintain our strength, how are we going to help somebody else out? So, cool, good deal.
Put it off. Here we go.
You need to switch around.
Can you see my feet?
Midnight Baja Bless.
Purple drink. I want to be an active listener, but I feel like I'm trying to run the conversation. I don't want to do that.
I'm not even going to buzzer.
It'd be funny if there's someone said that something funny and zoomed in on their face.
Hey,
They're like, first time on the camera.
that's for Jed.
For Jed.
For Jed. So, or like, what are these clowns doing? We're trying to focus. Nobody comes in here when you guys are recording your podcast. You're watching. You're
to pan the camera.
passing gas, wrapping yourself. He's putting tape on your mouth.